Thank you all for being here. I know every elected official here has had conversations with their constituents who are growing increasingly worried about how they will keep up with an unprecedented increase in their property taxes. That's why this news conference is the fifth one House Democrats have hosted across Ohio, with the plans for more in the weeks to come until this problem is solved. Each news conference has had the same simple message to the public. The higher property valuations and taxes Ohioans are facing are not the fault of any county auditor, county commissioner, or any county executive. It's due to more than 2 decades of Republican policies passed at the State House that are forcing Ohio's working families with the lowest incomes to pay more, while the wealthiest Ohioans receive handouts. And the state is being drained of the resources it needs to ensure the prosperity of its residents, of the people we serve. House Democrats and local leaders have been fighting to lower your property taxes and create a fairer system that doesn't constantly rely on property tax owners to pick up the tab. We can lower our property taxes, reduce costs, and still support essential services by ensuring the state pays its fair share and returns more of our tax dollars to our community. We are working together for bipartisan solutions that jumpstart our economy and provide direct relief to homeowners, renters, and seniors. By lowering property taxes, we can make housing more affordable for everyone and help more seniors afford to stay in their homes. Today, you won't hear excuses. You will hear reasonable, common sense, bipartisan solutions. It's time to reduce the skyrocketing cost of housing here in Ohio by working together to lower property taxes across the board and creating more opportunities and pathways to homeownership. We're here today to call on state leaders in Columbus to get serious at providing real relief to all Ohioans. Instead of long overdue property tax relief, in recent years, some politicians have chosen to give away more than $5 billion, almost entirely to the top 5% wealthiest Ohioans and individuals with incomes of over $250,000. With that money alone, the state could have tripled the amount of direct property tax relief Ohioans are getting now. We are trying to build consensus in Columbus to unrig state tax policies that have only benefited special interests and caused the cost of renting or owning a home to skyrocket for middle-class families and working people in our communities. We're standing up against bad state policies that underfunded our schools and local governments by funneling billions of our tax dollars to unaccountable school voucher handouts and tax subsidies for the wealthiest Ohioans and corporations. These unfair state policies have only increased costs and forced homeowners and renters to pay more than their fair share to keep safety forces on the street and students in the classroom. It doesn't have to be this way. It is possible to get something done. I've seen us pass bills in the middle of the night without a minute of debate. I've seen the governor call special sessions for less. It's time for the state legislature to take action. Ohioans need help now. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Representative Veronica Sims.
Go ahead, we can hold on for a second. Is that good?
Nicely done.
Good job.
Thank you, Representative Weinstein. My name is State Representative Veronica Sims, and I represent House District 33 here in Akron. As a state representative who spends a lot of time meeting my constituents where they are and hearing directly from them, I know the importance of vital services to them and to our community. When government funds giveaways for the wealthiest few, it is in reality shifting taxes away from the state onto local governments and homeowners, therefore forcing communities and local homeowners to pay more than their fair share for things like police, fire, and safety personnel on our streets. We're fighting unfair state policies that have only increased costs and forced homeowners and renters to pay more than their fair share to keep our streets and our schools safe. Until my colleagues at the State House act, Republican-led trickle-down tax policies will continue to shift taxes onto local communities and homeowners, forcing senior citizens and middle-class homeowners to take on the state's responsibility for providing safe communities, good schools, and economic infrastructure. We are working together for bipartisan solutions that jumpstart our economy and provide direct relief onto our homeowners, renters, and our seniors. By lowering property taxes, we can make housing more affordable for everyone and keep our seniors in their affordable and keep our seniors in their own homes. As Representative Weinstein mentioned a moment ago, higher property taxes are a choice. Republicans at the State House have cut local government funding while making it easier for dangerous individuals to access guns and to traffic fentanyl. We are working across the aisle to address solutions that matter, making sure that our elders can live independently in their homes, even so that young couples can afford their own new homes and Ohio's strong communities remain intact. Here's just a few of bipartisan solutions that have been offered. Representative Troy with House Bill 60, it would increase the amount and expand homestead exemption to cover an additional 75,000 seniors and raises its value to $40,000, providing nearly $250 million in direct target relief. It would increase the homestead exemption for elderly and disabled homeowners and certain surviving spouses from $26,200 to $40,000 at the home's appraised value and or costs. The bipartisan House Bill 263 would freeze property taxes, paying for qualified homeowners who meet the following criteria: are 65 or older, have resided in their home at least 2 years, have a total annual income of $50,000 or less, the home in which they reside has a true value below $500,000. It is clear that targeted property tax relief is critical to helping workers, families, and senior citizens who cannot afford to pay their property taxes stay in their homes. We can afford that support, and that's the choice we need to make. Now I want to introduce to you County Councilwoman Liz Walters.
Good morning, and thank you, Representative Sims, for welcoming me here today to share the important voice of Summit County in this discussion. During this time of historic increases in our property values, my fellow Democrats and I understand that targeted property tax relief is critical to help families and seniors who cannot afford to pay property taxes and stay in their homes. In most states, businesses pay more in property taxes while homeowners pay less. But in Ohio, we've got it the other way around. Lawmakers eliminated the state's targeted tax on business property, forcing middle-class families and working people to make up for a $3 billion tax shift. Now, Ohio homeowners and farmers are paying over 2/3 of the total property taxes, while Republican-controlled legislature handed out billions for unaccountable and unregulated private school vouchers and even more tax cuts for the wealthiest in our state. We can't get ahead when we're just trying to keep up with backward state policies. Ohio's cities, counties, and townships are working with about $1 billion less per year from the state compared to what we received in 2011. That puts even more pressure on local taxpayers and local governments to keep police officers on the streets, firehouses open, and streets paved. Despite billions in tax giveaways, studies show that Ohio continues to trail the nation in job creation and has one of the worst economies in the United States. Do not let any politician look you in the eye and say that we don't have the money. We have the money, but we're just not making the best choices with it. Republicans do not want to spend it on everyday Ohioans to help with our basic costs. The so-called solutions we have seen from the majority party are a false choice. If you want property tax relief, it could come at the expense of laying off teachers and cuts to after-school programs. If you want property tax relief, it will come at the expense of you feeling safe in your community, or it will mean more levies on your ballot and higher taxes. These are all false choices. We have the money to pay for property tax relief now. We can expand the homestead exemption. We can freeze property tax increases. And we can offer circuit breakers to get Ohioans relief now while state legislatures work on long-term solutions. And all of this does not have to come at the expense of our communities. As a member of Summit County Council, it's also important for our residents to understand that here in Summit County, we pride ourselves on having the lowest marginal sales tax of any other county in the state. And we constantly receive awards and recognition from state government for just how well we provide services. I'd rather have their support financially for our seniors, our new homeowners, and our residents than more meaningless awards that recognize how hard local communities have to work because we do not have the support we need from state government. It's crucial that we send elected officials to Columbus who are willing to put partisan politics aside and put people first. Only then can we solve the issues that everyday Ohioans are struggling with. Thank you, and now I'd like to pass it over to Cuyahoga Falls School Board Member A.J. Harris. AJ.
Thank you, Councilwoman Walters. My name is A.J. Harris, and I'm currently a member of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education. For too long, the state has failed to properly fund Ohio's public schools. This neglect leads to higher property taxes and schools having to do more with less. Providing for a, and I quote, thorough and efficient system of common schools, end quote, is one of the legislators' few explicit responsibilities spelled out in the Ohio Constitution. Ohio's school funding system has been broken, unfair, and unpredictable for decades. When the state pays less, politicians at the State House are making an active choice to shift their responsibility onto local communities to make up the difference. The time for action at the State House is now, as there are a handful of bipartisan solutions just waiting to be acted on. We've seen the past when both sides of the aisle come together. Good things happen in this space. Take, for example, the Fair School Funding Plan, a bipartisan solution that is providing better support for students and reducing reliances on local taxes by increasing state aid, individually designed for each school district's needs. It's making state aid more predictable so that districts can budget more reliably, and it ends over-reliance on property values by also considering communities' median income and overall capacity. Lawmakers must continue to support the Fair School Funding Plan to ensure every child succeeds and property taxpayers are not weighing down our community. But Ohio's over-reliance on property taxes is not limited to just public schools. Cuts to local governments also impact our property taxes. Local communities in our areas and around the state continue to struggle from cuts to our state's local government fund, which has been reduced by about $1 billion per year since 2011. These state cuts increase our reliance on local taxes to support our first responders, our roads and infrastructure, trash collection, snow plowing, and other municipal services. It's time for our elected officials at the State House to stand up against harmful policies that underfund our schools and local communities by funneling billions of our taxpayer dollars into unaccountable school voucher handouts and tax subsidies for the wealthiest Ohioans. These unfair state policies have only increased costs and forced homeowners and renters to pay more than their fair share to keep safety forces on the streets and students in the classroom. By working across the aisle at the State House and putting party politics aside, it is possible to provide direct relief to our community, to our seniors, and to our homeowners right now. We need and deserve leaders who will represent our community's interest in the state legislature. Instead of sending more of our taxpayer dollars to Columbus and getting fewer back, we deserve elected officials like Rep. Sims and Weinstein, who will take responsibility and make sure the state pays its fair share instead of passing the buck to local taxpayers. Thank you, and I will now turn it back over to Representative Weinstein for closing remarks.
Thank you, AJ. The rising costs of property tax is a critical economic issue for all Ohioans. Homeowners are searching for answers and are rightfully frustrated feeling the squeeze of these higher taxes. House Democrats hear you, and we will continue to advocate for bipartisan solutions so that workers, families, and senior citizens can stay in their homes. Together, we can support policies and leaders to unrig Ohio's tax system so the state can stop shifting the tax responsibility onto homeowners and to local communities. Thank you. we're happy to take any questions.